Commander Sienna Drake stood at the helm of the Earth diplomatic vessel Harmony, watching the swirling purple nebula ahead. The massive crystalline structures of the celestial realm's outer colonies glittered like diamonds against the cosmic canvas, each one housing millions of inhabitants in their transparent cities. Approaching celestial space, Commander, Lieutenant Park announced from his station. Their escort vessels are moving to intercept. Sienna straightened her formal diplomatic uniform, its silver trim catching the starlight. At 32, she was the youngest commander ever chosen to lead a FirstContact mission, but her record of successful negotiations with other spacefaring species had earned her this assignment. Open communications, she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the flutter of anticipation in her chest. The view screen shimmered to life, revealing a being that took her breath away. Tall and ethereal, with skin that seemed to shimmer with starlight and eyes that held the depth of galaxies, Prince Caspar of the Celestial Realm regarded her with obvious curiosity. "Greetings, Earth vessel," his voice carried musical undertones that made the universal translator hesitate for a moment. "I am Prince Caspar, appointed by the High Council to welcome you to our realm." Sienna bowed slightly, following the protocol she'd studied. "Commander Sienna Drake of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. We're honored by your welcome, Your Highness." "The honor is mutual, Commander." His expression shifted to something she couldn't quite read. "Our sensors detect your ship carries the Harmony Stone. I must admit, we were surprised when your people discovered it." The artifact in question sat secured in the ship's vault, a crystalline structure found in Earth's asteroid belt that matched perfectly with celestial technology. Its discovery had led to this very meeting. "The stone's energy signature led us to you," Sienna explained. "We hope it might serve as a bridge between our peoples." Caspar's ethereal features brightened. "Indeed. Please, dock at our central spire. I would prefer to continue this discussion in person." The transmission ended, and Sienna felt the weight of her crew's attention. This mission could change everything. Establishing relations with the legendary celestial realm would advance Earth's understanding of the universe by centuries. The docking procedure went smoothly, the Harmony settling into an ornate berth that seemed to be made of living crystal. Sienna led her small diplomatic team through the airlock, where Prince Caspar waited with his entourage. In person, the prince was even more striking. His formal robes seemed to capture and reflect the very essence of starlight, and when he moved, it was with an otherworldly grace that made Sienna acutely aware of her own terrestrial origins. "Commander Drake," he extended his hand in what appeared to be the traditional celestial greeting, palm facing downward, fingers slightly curved. "Welcome to the Crystal Spire." Sienna had studied this moment extensively. The proper response was to bow and touch her forehead to his hand. Instead, operating on an instinct she couldn't explain, she took his hand and turned it sideways for a proper Earth handshake. The moment their hands touched, the crystal walls around them pulsed with light. Caspar's eyes widened, and his entourage gasped collectively. Sienna tried to withdraw her hand, but the prince held firm, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "How fascinating," he murmured. "The prophecy spoke true." "I'm sorry." Sienna looked between their joined hands and his mysterious smile. "What prophecy?" "The one that said our realms would be united by one who defies tradition to forge a new path." His eyes met hers with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Tell me, Commander Drake, do you believe in destiny?" Before she could answer, the Harmony Stone in the ship's vault began to pulse with the same rhythm as the crystal walls, creating a harmonic resonance that filled the air with ethereal music. What had started as a diplomatic mission was quickly becoming something far more complex, and far more personal, than Sienna could have ever imagined. Sienna found herself seated in a chamber that seemed to be made of living starlight, the walls shifting with cosmic patterns that made her dizzy if she stared too long. Across from her, Prince Caspar lounged on a crystalline throne, still holding the data tablet containing Earth's proposed alliance terms. "Your people's directness is refreshing," he said, setting the tablet aside. "Though I must admit, this isn't quite how I imagined our negotiations would proceed." "How so?" Sienna asked, trying to ignore the way his presence seemed to fill the room. The events in the docking bay had caused quite a stir, though no one would explain exactly why. The Harmony Stone choosing you, the prophecy, the soul resonance when we touched. He leaned forward, his cosmic eyes capturing hers. "By celestial law, we're practically engaged." Sienna choked on her ceremonial tea. "We're what?" "The ancient texts speak of a joining between our peoples," Casper explained, amusement dancing in his expression. "When you took my hand in your Earth custom rather than following protocol, you demonstrated exactly the kind of barrier-breaking thinking the prophecy described." "With all due respect, Your Highness," Sienna set her cup down carefully, "I came here to establish diplomatic relations, not personal ones. And yet, the Harmony Stone responds to you as it would to celestial royalty." He gestured to the crystalline walls, which still pulsed softly in rhythm with Sienna's heartbeat. "Our technology is based on soul resonance, Commander. It doesn't make mistakes." Sienna stood, pacing the chamber. Her diplomatic training hadn't prepared her for this. "Even if I believed in prophecies, which I don't, surely your people wouldn't accept an Earth human as my consort?" Casper finished, rising with that otherworldly grace. "You underestimate both yourself and the significance of what's happening here. The Harmony Stone wasn't just lost technology, it was waiting for you." He approached her, and Sienna found herself backing up until she hit the crystal wall. It hummed against her spine, sending tingles through her body. Casper stopped just short of touching her, but his presence enveloped her like a cosmic storm. "Your scientists have surely noticed that Earth humans have unique genetic markers," he continued softly. "Did you never wonder why? There are theories about ancient alien intervention in human evolution, but..." Sienna's voice trailed off as the implications hit her. "The Celestials. My ancestors saw potential in your species. They left markers, guideposts, like the Harmony Stone, to lead us back together when humanity was ready." His hand came up to trace the air beside her cheek, not quite touching. "And now here you are, defying diplomatic protocol and making our most sacred artifacts sing." The wall behind her pulsed faster, matching her quickening pulse. "This is a lot to process." "Of course." Casper stepped back, giving her space. "But consider this, your mission was to forge an alliance between our peoples. What better way than through a union that fulfills both prophecy and diplomatic necessity?" Before Sienna could respond, alarms blared through the crystal spire. Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through her communicator, "Commander. We've got multiple unidentified ships dropping out of hyperspace. They're not celestial." Casper's expression hardened as he checked a holographic display. "The Void Collective. They've been trying to steal our crystal technology for centuries." His eyes met Sienna's. "And now they've chosen the moment of our reunion to attack." "My ship," Sienna started for the door, but Casper caught her arm. "The Harmony's defenses won't stand against their weapons," he said urgently. "But together, using the Harmony Stone's resonance with our crystal matrix." He left the suggestion hanging. Sienna looked at his offered hand, remembering how the first touch had felt like connecting to something vast and ancient. They were from different worlds, bound by prophecy and political necessity, and now facing a common enemy. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hand in his. The crystal walls erupted with light, and Sienna felt power surge through her body like starfire. As their fingers intertwined, she realized she'd passed the point of no return. Whatever happened next would change not just her life, but the fate of two civilizations. Power coursed through Sienna's veins like liquid starlight as she and Casper rushed to the crystal spire's command center. Their joined hands created trails of luminescence in the air, the entire structure responding to their combined resonance. "The Void Collective ships are targeting our defensive matrix," a celestial officer reported, her translucent fingers dancing over crystal controls. They're using some kind of harmonic disruptor. Through the panoramic viewport, Sienna watched dark ships with jagged edges move into attack formation. Their weapons pulsed with an anti-light that made her eyes hurt. The Harmony, her ship, looked terribly vulnerable among the larger vessels. "They're after both prizes," Casper said grimly. "Our crystal technology and the Harmony Stone." He turned to Sienna. "I know this isn't what you signed up for, but we need to complete the soul bond. It's the only way to access the full power of the defense grid." "You mean the engagement wasn't enough?" Sienna managed a weak smile despite the chaos around them. "What exactly does a soul bond entail?" Instead of answering, Casper pulled her to a raised platform in the center of the command center. Crystal pillars surrounded them, humming with energy. "It's like your Earth tradition of dancing," he explained, positioning her opposite him. "But instead of moving to music, we move with the cosmic resonance itself." The first blast from the Void Collective rocked the crystal spire. Sienna stumbled, but Casper caught her, pulling her close. "Trust in the connection you already feel," he whispered. "Let go of your Earth physics and feel the star song in your blood." As if responding to his words, the Harmony Stone's energy pulsed through the entire structure. Sienna closed her eyes, feeling the rhythm that had been growing since their first touch. It was like a dance of subatomic particles, a quantum waltz that existed in multiple dimensions. They began to move together, their bodies following patterns older than civilization itself. The crystal pillars around them sang with increasing intensity, and Sienna felt her consciousness expanding. She could sense every part of the crystal spire, every defensive system, every pulse of energy. "The soul bond is taking," someone shouted. "The defense grid is responding." Through her expanded awareness, Sienna felt the Void Collective ships like dark holes in the fabric of space. Sienna's newly awakened celestial senses extended throughout the crystal spire and beyond, touching the minds of her crew aboard the Harmony. Through the 3 days after the battle, Sienna stood in the grand ceremonial chamber of the crystal spire, watching delegates from Earth and the celestial realm gather for the formal alliance signing. Her new form still caught her by surprise in reflective surfaces, skin shimmering with starlight, eyes holding the depth of galaxies, yet she remained unmistakably human in her core being. The transformed Harmony floated outside the spire's windows, its crystalline structure now a perfect blend of Earth engineering and celestial architecture. The ship had become a symbol of what their peoples could achieve together, and already scientists from both civilizations were studying its hybrid systems with wonder. "Having second thoughts?" Casper's voice carried its familiar musical undertone as he approached. He wore formal celestial robes that seemed to capture and redirect light itself, though she noted with amusement that he'd incorporated some Earth design elements into the attire. "About the alliance?" "No." Sienna turned to face him, her diplomatic uniform now modified to accommodate her transformed nature. "About everything else, maybe a few." Through their soul bond, she felt his understanding. The past few days had been a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, scientific examinations, and cultural exchanges. News of her transformation had sparked both excitement and concern back on Earth, while the celestial courts buzzed with discussions of prophecies and possibilities. "The Void Collective is already gathering allies," she continued, sensing distant disturbances in the quantum fabric. Her new abilities were still revealing themselves, each day bringing new discoveries. "They're spreading rumors that we plan to forcibly evolve all humans, trying to turn Earth's population against us." "Fear of change is universal," Casper replied, taking her hand. The crystal walls hummed in response to their touch, a melody that spoke of both passion and partnership. "But so is hope. Look at them." He gestured to the gathering below. Earth diplomats chatted with celestial scholars, comparing notes on their shared history. Human scientists studied crystal technology while celestial architects pored over Earth construction methods. Two civilizations, finding common ground. "We've already begun identifying others with active markers," Sienna said, thinking of the testing programs being established on Earth. Not everyone will choose transformation, but they'll have the choice. Casper drew her closer, their energies intermingling in ways that still made her breath catch. Just as you had the choice. That's what the Void Collective truly fears, not forced evolution, but freely chosen change. The ceremony was about to begin. Sienna felt the anticipation building in the crystal harmonics around them. But before they joined the gathering, she had one last question. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Taking my hand that first day, starting all of this?" Casper's response came not in words but through their bond, a rush of emotions and memories. The wonder of their first touch, the thrill of their soul dance, the fierce joy of fighting alongside each other, and beneath it all, a deep current of love that transcended species and space. "The only regret I could have had," he said finally, "would have been letting protocol prevent me from knowing you." The crystal chambers rang with a chime that announced the ceremony's start. Below, delegates took their places as history prepared to be made. But for a moment more, Sienna and Casper remained where they were, their joined hands creating patterns of light that danced across the walls. They were no longer just human and celestial, but something new, proof that love could bridge the gaps between stars. Their story would be told in both realms, a testament to the power of choosing connection over division, change over stagnation, hope over fear. "Ready to change the universe?" Casper asked, offering his arm in a gesture that blended Earth and celestial customs. Sienna took it, feeling the future unfold before them in waves of possibility. The transformed harmony pulsed with crystal energy outside, ready for whatever adventures awaited. Their bond hummed with shared purpose and deepening love. "With you?" She smiled, starlight dancing in her eyes. "Always." Together, they descended to join the ceremony, their steps in perfect harmony. Above them, the cosmic dance of stars continued, witness to a new chapter in the story of two peoples reaching across the void to forge something extraordinary. The prophecy had spoken of unity between realms, but it hadn't mentioned how that unity would transform both sides, creating something greater than either could have imagined alone. As Sienna and Casper took their places for the alliance signing, their joined hands still trailing stardust, they knew this was just the beginning of their shared journey. The future stretched before them, full of challenges and possibilities, discoveries and dangers. But they would face it together, bridging worlds not just between their peoples, but between love and duty, tradition and progress, the known and the unknown. And in the space between stars, their story would become legend, a tale of how a simple handshake changed the destiny of two civilizations, and how love proved stronger than the very forces that held the universe together.